Hey everybody, it's the Mad Master here, doing another video about Jon Schaffer of Iced Earth. So I guess he did turn himself into the FBI, um, and or he got arrested. I have to read the Blabbermouth article again. So where do we go from here with his music career? I don't know if he's going to get, he's probably going to serve jail time. He's certainly not rich. I remember reading about Jon Schaffer doing like drywall in between Iced Earth tours or something like that. A lot of these, even these older metal musicians are pretty much working class. You had the infamous Manowar stuff that came out years back about how they were, not as rich, not as like on, you know, they weren't as rich as like maybe people thought they were because of how they acted and stuff. Not a big deal, but I'm just saying that was actually when I liked Manowar because like I didn't like a lot of their moves after Columbus died. Columbo. Scott Columbus died. I didn't like a lot of their career moves and a lot of stuff that happened, and you know that's mainly like when I kind of bow out of Manowar is after that, like when they started remaking some of their classic albums for whatever reason, probably because they don't have the rights to them. That's what you bands usually do is if you don't have the rights to an album, you'll re-record it so you have kind of you're getting like the royalties from the like if another record company has all the rights to them, they're making the money and they want to reclaim that, a band will re-record their album. It's kind of like reunion tours. It's always I'd say about 90% of the time when a band reunites after years of acrimonious squabbles and stuff after breaking up, 90% of the time it's because there's some divorce, someone's getting divorced, like Slash and Guns N' Roses, and like I think that's why Kiss reunited with the original lineup is because like two of them were going bankrupt, and like Gene and Paul had these investments from Casablanca Records they were kind of crashing too, and they're like, you know, it's one of those things. I mean that people make fun of the money thing, but it's true. Most of these bands reunite for money. I remember when Iron Maiden reunited with Bruce Dickinson and Adrian Smith, and I was kind of appalled at the time, but now I take it with stride. It's like they there was a Guitar World article that said there was $10 million from investors into Iron Maiden, which they definitely made back for the investors. At the time, I'm like, $10 million. Oh my god, that's terrible. Oh, you know. So it just happens. But anyways, I'm getting off the topic. But Jon Schaffer. So people can continue to not listen to him and boycott him. It's pretty sad though. It's sad how misguided someone like that is. I mean, it's true that these politicians are fucking corrupt as hell. I mean, that's a sad part. That's a sad state of affairs. And in a way, like I sympathize with these people that I'm not sympathizing with this, like how set up it was, like how they were let in, and it's just kind of stupid. But like I sympathize with a lot, some of their grievances and complaints because just especially in the last year, just things have gotten so fucked up and so terrible for people because I still don't know the answer to why, but I mean, regardless of where you're coming from, the whys, like why there isn't, you can come from the left, quote unquote, and say, well, why isn't there a UBI? You can come from the right, which I'm not, but and say, well, why are we taking this too seriously compared to where the the statistics would show us, and it's endemic, by the way, too. I mean, there's no doubt with these new strains and stuff, it's going to be we're going to live with this. We have to live. And the Atlantic had an article that said that this summer. I mean, it's endemic. We're going to have to learn to live with this. There's certain things that I have to live with. I just had a little crisis today about that. I'm not going to talk about what it is, but certain things that certain realities that I have to live with. That I found out about, unfortunately, just in life and so forth. I mean, I hate my job, for example. It's another thing that I'm gonna have to live with for now. But That's just one example. But it's just until I get a new one, of course, or become self-employed, which I'm working on. Anyways, I'm kind of veering off topic. Jon Schaffer, you know, intelligent guy, has a lot of interest in a lot of stuff. Pretty right wing, pretty libertarian, whatever you want to call it. Did the Glorious Burden, had that Where the Eagles Cry, which I cringe every time I think about it, but somehow he woke up after that, and went to a different direction, which I still respect. I still respect it, even if it's just one iota more than falling for Fox News fake bullshit. I still respect, I don't like Alex Jones, because Alex Jones fucking flew the coop or sold out, one of the two or both, years ago. But believing that there is in these people that have power, that there's an establishment system that is in control of us, regardless if you think it's some kind of grand cabal or, few people, you're on the right track. I think people are on the right track when they believe that, because if you've ever seen the movie Network, that's kind of how reality is, because these people are making these decisions that affect the lives of millions, especially right now with these lockdowns. It's a few people, regardless if you believe it or not, or whatever narrative you follow. It's like 10 people that made all these decisions. I mean, not 10 people, but 10 people, 20 people, whatever. Imperial College. So you got to think about that, or with regards to other things that have happened as well. I became a conspiracy theorist when I saw the movie JFK, because it was a flawed movie. Oliver Stone is kind of a weird dude, and Kevin Costner is but it was a good movie, at the time, and it really drew me into that culture. And when I read On the Trail to the Assassins, and I'm still into this left-right paradigm, Republicans bad, Democrats good or better, whatever, at the time. But really what drew me, and even though I'm very disappointed with his current status on a lot of things, Noam Chomsky really turned the boat around even more. And that's why I got into a lot of trouble after voting for Ralph Nader in 2000, because people thought, oh, I'm stealing the vote. So when people shamed me for voting for Jill Stein or not voting, in this last election, I'm just like, well, I've been hearing this all my life, pretty much. It's it's nothing new. I just fucking, it is what it is. I mean, just this gradualism. Well, we'll do better next time, or we'll pressure this person to go this direction. But it never happens. It keeps getting worse and worse. I mean, Obama was referred to himself as an 80s Republican on several occasions. So these people that are on the left that say, well, oh, we're going to push, it's gradual. We just got to use the system to get these changes. And, there have been some changes. I never thought in my lifetime that pot would be legal in some place in the United States. There was such a stigma of marijuana. And I grew up around it in some bad ways sometimes. But the point is that there was no way in hell it was going to be illegal. You heard propaganda about it all the time, and people were. These politicians were just I mean, I think there was a 60 Minutes about, and it was a hypothetical pot legalization. It was pretty interesting. I think Jesse Jackson was on it. And he was kind of I think he was pro legalization at the time. It was very interesting. Jesse Jackson was kind of the Bernie Sanders. Regardless of his flaws, which I know there are some, he was kind of the Bernie Sanders of the 80s. He ran for president. He was kind of sort of anti-establishment, but in the establishment, and kind of the alternative to caucus and fucking, empty suits like that, empty eyebrows like that. I remember a relative I heard secondhand that one of my relatives didn't want to vote for the caucus because of his bushy eyebrows. That's sad that people would take an image instead of policy, but whatever. I mean, as far as they're deciding their voting, but whatever. It's hilarious. But anyways, some people have learned too since then, about that. But anyways, Jon Schaffer. Where was I saying? So Jon Schaffer, I'll still listen to his music. I'm not going to sell my ice to earth or smash it with a hammer or anything like that. I think it's more sad than anything. As I was telling a friend the other day, that ultimately these people really wanted to go after those in power. They would have stormed the mansions of all these CEOs and all these corporate lobbyists or lobbyists in general, But no, they just want to storm the Capitol because they have to have this scapegoat. It's just the same with the fucking the left, quote unquote, the establishment left. Everything, the Russians or Trump or these people are their scapegoats because they don't want to look at who's really in power. And Trump was just a fucking puppet, the billionaire class. But if people really wanted to take the system down, they'd go to those people's mansions and storm them. Not only the Capitol, but I don't know if they're too stupid or just too ignorant or naive. I don't think Jon Schaffer is one of those people, by the way. I think he knows ultimately that those are the people in power that are controlling things. He just got caught into this like wind of, this whatever that thing was, insurrection, whatever you want to call it. I like Kyle Kalinski's diet insurrection. I don't think it was a real insurrection. It was a pseudo insurrection, whatever you want to call it. I mean, the police let them in, some of them or whatever, and they had photo ops and shit with them. And it's just like, and some people got shot and stuff, but like, I don't know. But yeah, Jon Schaffer, I just feel sorry for him more than anything. I think he's on the right track in some ways. I think he got caught into the QAnon kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know without talking to him. I still have a feeling that he's not as into them as he's just into like, he went along with it because he wanted to, I don't know. I guess he does. No, I mean, I remember I saw an interview where he did say like Trump, but that's sad though. Cause like, Trump was like this straw man and this tool, almost like, I was talking to a friend years ago. We were talking about how Trump may be a psyop himself that they're trying to use. I mean, they don't want anti-establishment people running for office. So they have this guy, they think they can get some stuff passed, but they also think he's, has this appeal. So they push him and throw him away. That's basically what they did. The billionaire class, they threw him away. They threw him to the wolves because they selected Joe Biden. It's a selection process. There is no democracy in America. No true democracy. There's little, snippets of democracy here and there, but it's not a true democracy. It's an oligarchy by the rich. And I'm new to this concept because I was like, oh yeah, the corporate lobbyists. Yeah, it's still a democracy though. No, the whole invisible primary thing, which I didn't know even existed. I mean, I sort of vaguely knew of the concept where the establishment politicians are kind of like courted by corporate execs and lobbyists and stuff, but I didn't know it was that direct oligarchy, not direct democracy. But yeah, so I hope Jon Schaffer wakes up to that fact though. Like, I feel sorry for him. I don't feel like he's a bad person for questioning things. I feel like he went in the wrong direction. I think he's, looking at things in a way that's not good. He's falling for the left-right paradigm, whether he likes it or not. You could say that Trump isn't part of the left-right paradigm, but that's a crock of shit, He's still part of that. Might be a little bit outside of it, but not really. Ron Paul, on the other hand, is pretty much, was pretty much out of, at least at the time, somewhat out of that paradigm, or you could call him far right, I guess. It depends on what you consider right. I mean, it's a very complicated thing. But there is that political compass. But if you're familiar with that, you could take the political compass test, and you could be like left authoritarian, left libertarian, which I actually fall into the left libertarian quadrant pretty much. Even if people don't think that exists, you have people on the left that say libertarians aren't true libertarians, so the libertarians will be like, no, we're classical liberals. These pretentious fucking labels and all over the place. Who gives a flying fuck, It's like, and then the right will be like, that's not libertarian. The libertarian socialist, that's a contradiction. They haven't studied like the historical usage of the terms in a way that, provides for this evolution of the term, and the nuance that's there. They just don't want to do that. They just want to be lazy. Like a lot of people want to be fucking lazy. They're intellectually lazy. And I know a lot of people are intellectually lazy, unfortunately. I'm trying to, maybe my first New Year's resolution is to be compassionate about them and not try to, push things in their face too much. Like, the other night I was at someone's house and there was some fucking not Corbett report, but Colbert Report was on with Cory Booker. I'm like, fuck that mainstream nonsense. It's like, I can't be that insulting to my friends, So I'm just gonna be like, oh, let's go, because I was getting going. I was getting someone a ride home. But it's just like, it's hard to have compassion for people that, it is hard to have compassion for people that, not only people that don't believe how you do, but won't listen to what you have to say about your own beliefs. So, but yeah, Jon Schaffer, I hope he doesn't go to prison the rest of his life for fucking participating in whatever the fuck that is. It's a very confusing time, and I have a little compassion. I don't have compassion for, wanton destruction of property and stuff like that, but I just have compassion for the establishment ideology, even if it's misguided into Trumpism, which is, to me, a kind of a cult. Not a cult, but a cult. It is a cult. And it's hard to, one of the YouTubers I watch, I've mentioned this, is Stick, Sex, and Hammer. I watch him a lot. I'll admit it. He supports Trump, but everything else he says makes sense, except for maybe some of his, like, oh, national health care doesn't work, because it's like, well, like most countries have that, and they vary from region to region, so, it varies from region to region, so how can you say something like that? Some of the more, like, right-wing talking points he says, I just kind of bonk out, I just kind of blank out of that. But a lot of the stuff he says about censorship and everything else, I totally agree with. I would have to say I would probably agree with about 50 to 60% of what he says. I know he's been called a Nazi. He's had some nefariously questionable allies in this past too, but I still enjoy his videos. I think he just has a snarky way about him. It's kind of unintentionally. I guess it's like a guilty pleasure too, sort of. But I actually bought a couple of his books as well. He writes books and edits a lot of stuff. Well, like his occult books, and I just enjoy his videos. I'll admit it. I won't lie. But anyways, so yeah, I'd say that I think Eisters is probably over. With Jon Schaffer probably being charged with some federal crimes. We don't have the types of prisons that they have in Norway, where you can record an album, even if, like Varg Vikernes, it's only on a keyboard, for a while. We don't have that in America. We don't have that luxury. Maybe he can, beat on some, his jail cell with a stick and, like, record it or something. I don't know. I know, I think Charles Manson eventually was allowed a guitar in prison, and he did an album, and Henry Rollins actually, like, sort of was going to produce an album for him. This is back in the 80s. And there's, like, an acetate that only Rollins and, like, one or two other people, like, probably Rick Rubin, because for some reason, like, Rick Rubin has everything, because he was friends with everybody at one point in time, I think Rick Rubin's one of the most overrated people in the world, even though I love his classic period. But anyways, I'm babbling. That's all.